What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. And today we're talking about why INFJs should bite the bullet more often. And they should do that in the sense of we have a vision and we want to achieve that, but the path to that requires certain cutbacks. It requires work. It requires for us to do things that we don't want to do. And most of the time, and this is the most important aspect, it is outside of our vision. We feel like in order for me to be true to myself, I can only go for that vision. But there's such a discrepancy between where you're at and that vision that it cannot be reached unless you're willing to do certain things that are not in alignment with that vision yet. Before we get started talking about this topic, I want to let you know the boot camp is finally starting again. The next round is starting February 27th, and on Saturday, February 20th, we're having a free workshop that's live on YouTube. You can watch it. We will have an early bird prize that launches at that time, and everybody who signs up within that hour will also be part of the giveaway of one coaching session with me. So let's talk about this concept of biting the bullet. I have experienced this many times because for the longest time I've held on to my vision so much that I didn't see that I would have to do things that are not in alignment with that. And this has helped me back so often. I now know that this is a pattern that so many of us face, and I see this with my clients. I see this when we talk in the bootcamp sessions about it because it's so natural. We live in our mind. We have that vision that we hold on to, and that's part of our identity. And if you, for example, say, I want to be somebody who doesn't work much because that's not in alignment with who I am. I want things to be flowing. I want things to be easy. And my dream life makes me be somebody who doesn't have to play by the rules, who can be completely themselves, who does have the freedom to express him or herself however I want to. But here's the twist. Most of the time, we're not there yet. And the reason we're not there yet is because our default state is to adapt to what society wants from us. You might say, well, we as INFJs, we're our unique beings. We're always outcasts. We're always different. We're not adapting to society. But what we underestimate is how much we actually play into the narrative of I'm the outcast of this society. We're still playing a part in it, but we're playing the part of I'm different than. There's always the comparison to that society going on. And that's just how our mind works. And if you're just starting out your personal development journey and your INFJ epic life journey, you will see that we have gone this direction more often than not. Because all our life we've been taught, go to school, have these certain jobs that will make you be okay in society. These were the things that people will like you and respect you for. And we have been conditioned by this all our life. So of course it has an effect on us. Everything else just wouldn't be normal. So we have to accept that. And I have to accept this about myself as well. Just because now I've completely gotten out of society's rules, right? The way I do business, the way I live my life is definitely not the way that people live like, in my world or everywhere that I go. For so many people still nowadays, the way I live is something of a unique mysterium. How can this work? How can this life be possible? And for the longest time, while I was transitioning to that, it felt the same way to me. I felt like, okay, there's something weird with me saying I'm a life coach. I don't have a job. I have my own business. Like all of these aspects were foreign to me. And the reason for this is that all our life we have been taught the old traditional way, that's the normal way. So I know to this day that there are parts of me who are still conditioned to that social norm, and I'm not aware of them. I'm not that naive to think, oh no, I'm completely above it because I've made those jumps that I've done so far. I know there are like so many other things that are holding me back from going to the next level, and I'm always working on them. And in order to do that, I have to bite the bullet. I have to understand that if I want to be somebody who's completely independent and who wants to live life exactly how I imagine, I would have to do things in order to get there that might not look like it at first. I'll give you a great example. When I first started this channel, I was working at a company. I was a derivative expert. I was making good money, but but it wasn't really challenging me. I knew that I wasn't tapping into my potential. I knew that I could be way more productive. I knew that I could invest way more effort into everything that I'm doing. And then there was my vision. I wanted to be an INFJ life coach. I wanted to help others to find their path in life. I wanted to have a successful marriage and family and like go on vacations and all of that without having that aspect of work within my life, without having this aspect of having to adapt to other people's expectations of me. And then in order to make that happen, yes, I started this channel. Yes, I started working on all of those aspects to build this up. But at the same time, I actually took on a job that required me to work more, that required me to be productive on a higher level. Why did I do that? I did that because that in itself taught me to be productive. That in itself taught me to want to give my best. I deliberately put myself in a situation where the people around me were way more driven, where the people around me wanted to succeed on their terms in that company. It wasn't something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, for sure. And it also required me to grow. It required me to get out of my comfort zone. For the longest time, I was this expert at this old company. People came up to me. I could do whatever I want because I had that standing. And then I went a level up. I went to a top tier consulting agency, meaning everything that I did wasn't good enough. I had to challenge myself over and over again and grow in order to actually make progress within that. I put myself in that situation to become a person who can make their dreams work. Because through that step, I became strong enough to make that jump of saying, okay, I'm quitting my job altogether. I'm stepping out of the social norm. I'm doing my own thing and I'm going to take the risk now or never. If I wouldn't have gone to that other job, if I wouldn't have pushed myself to become more of who I can be, I wouldn't have had this strength and this determination to make it happen. I wouldn't have learned self-discipline and how to be productive and in such a way that doesn't require me to do something I don't want to do. Remember, we don't want to have a life where we have to do so many things we don't like in order to have something great on paper. No, we want to enjoy every single day. That's part of the INFJ epic life. But if we have created a discrepancy between where we want to go and where we are right now, there will be steps necessary that go against that vision. Part of my vision, for example, was not needing to adapt myself. And I lived that all out, right? I was comfortable in that old job. I didn't have to adapt because I was a big fish there. I was having all the success I could within that company. But that kept me small to a certain point of what I could do with myself. I needed to challenge myself. I needed to become that person. I needed to adapt, actually. Everything that I wanted, for example, not having to adapt. I could have on a small scale in that company at the price of keeping myself small, or I could have it at a bigger scale because I wanted more, where I also wouldn't have to adapt, which is the life I live right now. But in order to get from that small part to that big part, I would have to transition through a phase that required me to adapt. So how does that apply to every single INFJ? Stop telling yourself that this is going against your integrity. I'm not here to tell you that you have to do something that goes against your soul, that crushes you. But remember, you're stronger than you think you are. And you have to fight from time to time in order to get there. If you're not happy in your marriage, you might have to go through a divorce. And that part will be so soul crushing. I've seen it more than once with people in my life. But still, it is necessary to do those steps in order to become that free person. If you want to be an author, then you have to make that time on the weekend. You have to invest extra time. That's why I am so big on the physical energy management pillar in the 5 Pillars to an Epic Life, which is part of the bootcamp and the workshop, by the way, that's going to happen February 20th. Just remember, you're not giving up on yourself. You're not giving up on your soul or your integrity if you are going that route. You're actually standing up for who you deserve to be. If I tell myself I will never work for a company where I have to adapt, I will never go to a place where I have to work 10 hours a day. If you are so strict on certain rules and you're not willing to budge a little bit, you're not willing to bite the bullet a little bit, you will always stay at that place where you're at right now. Because again, we want to learn how to grow. And for me, the right step was to go to some place that challenged me more. That made me grow more as a person. That made me feel like I could take on the next step because I survived that. I thrived in that. I was like a diamond in the rough, and I was put in a situation where I was able to become bigger and stronger. Biting the bullet does not mean you're giving up on who you want to be. You're actually fighting for that future version of yourself. If you would have been born in a society and in an environment where everything helps you to thrive and to become the person you want to be from the beginning, this wouldn't be necessary. You would always be in the flow. Yes, you would have to put in some kind of work, but it would be fun work. It would be exciting. The output that you would get would make you want to do even more of that. But that's not the truth. Most of us are not geniuses who understand at 2 years old that we're going in the wrong direction. Our family experiences mindset blocks. Our environment experiences this altogether. Our society as a whole does. So we're naturally being guided in this place within the society where we can't live out our fullest potential. And we feel that. That's why we feel trapped. That's why we feel misunderstood. But I'm here to tell you, this doesn't have to be your destiny. But you will make it your destiny if you're not willing to do certain things that until this point you've said, I will never do this. I will never be that person who wants to work just to get ahead. You don't have to become that person. But if you know that this is just a stepping stone, because within that situation you will grow, you will become stronger because you will have learned how to master that situation in itself. It will give you the strength to take on the next situation. And this is not just a work thing. This is when it comes to how am I going to be with friends? How am I going to set boundaries? At what point am I going to fight for my opinion and I'm not gonna budge? It's about becoming more and more independent from what is going on around us, because that independence will allow you to take the steps then to become that person you want to be. It is a journey of the mind, and we as INFJs have a huge opportunity here because our vision will stay intact. We will not lose that vision. This is one of our biggest strengths, that we hold on to that vision. But in order to make that happen, we have to step into reality. We have to take steps. And those steps might not look like that thing that we want in that vision. But what we know is where we're at right now, nothing great is happening. We have used everything we can to grow within our current circumstance. So there's something we have to change. Maybe it's a new city. Maybe it's a new friendship group. Maybe it's a new way of living out your vocation by sharing your thoughts, putting yourself out there, and being vulnerable. There are so many ways to grow, and we're always looking for the next best thing. And if that next best thing isn't in alignment with your vision, then it's still better than where you're at right now, because you know nothing is happening here. But taking that step, you will learn from it, you will grow from it, and with that, you will know much more how to take the next step. It's awareness we need, and growth helps us to get that awareness. I always use the metaphor of, if this isn't the right mountain to climb, I'm still gonna climb it, because from that mountaintop, I can see so much better where the next mountain is at, that is more in alignment with who I want to be. With every level, I become more aware of what I want and what the next step is to get there. I really hope you take this in. You deserve to live the life that you want, and you are the creator of your destiny. You deserve an INFJ epic life, so take it on. Remember, if you want more assistance with this, then join the INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp. You can sign up for the waiting list below. We have the workshop on Saturday. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. Remember, we'll also have a giveaway of 1 coaching session with me for everybody who signs up to the bootcamp while this workshop is happening, because the bootcamp launches with that workshop. And like always, if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video on why INFJs are that good at reframing. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.